Okay, here's the thing that happened. So I was just looking at this tank because I was thinking like, oh, I should probably put my apple snail in here because of the temperature and all that stuff. Hold on, let me get rid of that glare real quick. Okay, that's a bit better. Anyways, so I'm looking in here and I look on this and I'm like, what the hell is that? Now, if you look, it appears to be a damselfly nymph, but the problem is it has no freaking head. So either they died because they weren't getting a food source, or the snails ate them. But regardless, the snails seem to be devouring their corpses now. And there's another one down here. Yeah, so I guess that's the end of that endeavor. The problem is there were 3 in here, and I only see 2. So I don't know what the last one is, but... Alright, so I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little upset, because it would have been really cool to hatch damselfly nymphs. However, they probably would have just been a nuisance, and I probably would have had to get rid of them right away. So this is probably a blessing in disguise. Yeah. Someone is gonna comment, what the hell, like, you know, the one person who watches this, where's the driftwood? And I'll show you what's happening right now. Alright, so I am currently making a video on how to prepare the driftwood, but I don't want to post that until, like, you know, the process of getting the driftwood ready for the tank and in the tank is actually done. So this is kind of like a weird midway point video. It takes place between 2 other videos. Anyways, the driftwood is here. It's got a rock on top, which you will see when that video comes out. And I'm trying to waterlog it. Now, I thought it would take a few days, but if we take the rock off, yeah, it's still floating. So apparently this can take like up to like a month in some cases, but I'm just gonna leave it there until it waterlogs, because I don't know, it's just gonna be really helpful if it is waterlogged. Now here's the thing, right? If I can't get it to waterlog before, let's see, today's the 20th of August. If it's not waterlogged by the 25th, I'm just gonna shove the big piece in there and like tie it down with something, because I just want to get fish in the damn tank. And one of the problems I think will be with the driftwood is that it's probably going to cause a shift in the pH. And, you know, I want to be able to deal with that when it happens. And I don't want to test the water until the driftwood's in, because I don't want to put fish in, then put the driftwood in, then screw with the pH, and then have, you know, the fish get upset and all that shit. So, yeah, we're just going to be leaving that for now. And hopefully it all goes good. Yeah, so now it's time for, I guess, a few other things that we have to do today. Hello, isopod. How you doing? You doing good? You eating that leaf? I love these things. They're so weird. Something I'd like to mention about isopod enclosures is if you do plan on keeping isopods, keep in mind you're going to have to change the substrate eventually. I think I'm going to change mine every 3 months, maybe. I don't know, I guess it depends on how this goes. You can see one of them there. I gotta start filming this enclosure with the little flashlight on the phone, because otherwise there's too much glare. Yeah, one thing I want to talk about, other than the freaking dead and decaying damselfly nymphs, is this. This is fiberglass window screen, which is perfect for making proper false bottom. This isn't food. It's not food. It's carbon fiber window screen. Anyways, this is perfect for making terrarium false bottoms, which means I can make a proper terrarium that isn't going to smell rancid or putrid. If you look at one of my, you know, the terrarium I have downstairs, it looks like this one, but it's more overgrown. It's in this container. That one smells like rotten milk. Okay, we don't want that. So finally, I'm going to make this a terrarium properly using this stuff. Now, there's other things you can use, but this is, you know, the best. So, according to Surf Design, who I trust. I'm going to be keeping this one open top because of this, because I think we shouldn't have a problem with, you know, the substrate, you know, becoming putrid, because it will be open and, you know, the soil's not even damp, because all that gets wet is like the moss gets wet on top and then it evaporates out. So hopefully this one should be okay. Yeah, I'm going to go work on this terrarium, I guess. So yeah, this should be fun. Trust me, if I could tell these fish that they're going to this tank, they'd be so fucking excited. I love cories. They're so weird looking. Alright, let's move on to the terrarium, I guess. I'd also like to say, I finally got a bin for my terrarium stuff separate from my aquarium bin, which is great. And I might even start a moss propagation bin on top of this, but we'll see about that. So yeah, let's just get into this. I've got some new gravel here, which should be perfect. And yeah, we're gonna finally make a proper false bottom. Let's go. I'd just like to take this moment where I'm gonna use my feet to open this to say how much fun it is to make YouTube videos. Like actually, like I don't care that I get 0 views or that my camera work is terrible, because this is really fun. Now I'm gonna take the camera off so I can actually open this. All right, there we go. Now let's just add some of the rocks. There seems to be a bit of moisture down here, but that shouldn't be too big a deal. And yeah, the reason I'm building this like tiny one, like why the hell wouldn't you do one of the big ones? You have all this stuff. Well, the reason is I want to do the like carbon or charcoal layer, but the only charcoal I could find at the store was like a giant like 15-pound bag, and all I have left is this. So I figured it'd be better to start with a small one until I can buy, you know, a bag that's gonna last me a while, but isn't gonna like not fit in my room. If anyone's curious about channel updates and all that stuff, Fish Rant should be starting soon, I guess. I don't really know. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, now that we got our mesh open, just gonna roll it out here and cut off a piece slightly bigger than the little terrarium, and that should be good to go. And I'm just gonna cut it with these scissors. Okay, now we've got our badly cut mesh, and we're just gonna plop it into the little terrarium and container thing, and hopefully it all goes well. And I can't even do this because I suck. There, that's a bit better. Okay, hold on. Okay, now we got our mesh in here, which is curled upwards slightly, but that's all right. We're gonna go get some soil and put it into the terrarium. Sorry, I put the fan on to get some ventilation here because that fiberglass cutting caused a bit of irritation in my lungs. But next we're gonna add the charcoal or the carbon, which I should have done before the dirt. And actually I did do before the dirt, I just forgot to mention it. So yeah, we're gonna do that now. Okay, that's probably enough. And I realize this probably just snuck through the mesh, but you know, whatever. It's still good, it'll still work. Okay, so I've placed in the dirt, as you can see. Now you can still see more of the mesh than I'd ideally want, but this is my first time using it, so it's not that big a deal. Plus, if you look at it kind of from this angle, it's kind of hard to tell. So I consider that fine. Next thing we're gonna do is go get some moss. Okay, so we're at the moss patch, which is looking very lively, I must say. And we're just gonna grab a few pieces, and then I'll be back over at the table so I can put everything into the terrarium. Alright, here's the little collection I got. I piled it up in this little lid. And now I'm just gonna kind of place everything in here and see how it looks. Alright, there's the finished terrarium. Now the last step is just going to be putting the lid back on and taking this upstairs and moisturizing it and seeing how everything turns out. Okay, before we moisturize the terrarium, I'd just like to point out one thing. I looked it up and the internet tells me that damselfly larvae, or nymphs rather, shed when they grow, which does make sense. I don't know why I didn't think about that. So I'm not sure if this is the shedding or the dead thing, but I mean, I guess I'll find out in time if I can see them, if they ever show up again. If they don't, then I guess it means they are dead, but yeah, that could be interesting. But yeah, anyways, let's get to moistening the terrarium here. Okay, so there is the terrarium. I moved this little piece of moss from back there just so it wasn't being covered up by this thing here. And yeah, now I'm just gonna grab the moisturizer, moisten it, put the lid back on, and then I'll show you guys how it looks. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to wipe off just the excess moisture on the glass with a paper towel. Okay, there we go. Now I'm just going to seal it up, and we're good to go. New terrarium to add to the shelf. And you know what? I think it looks pretty good. Move the ecosphere a bit, which has cleared up, by the way, though there's not much going on here. So I'll probably just end up turning this into a terrarium or doing another ecosphere. I don't know, it's not as interesting as I thought it could be, but it was kind of fun while it lasted. Yeah, that terrarium looks really good. So it's nice to have, you know, a bit more life up here, and hopefully soon I manage to, you know, fill up all of these, but yeah, that's gonna happen slowly. And also, one other thing I'd like to mention before the end of this video, as you guys probably know, all my other terrariums, here's just an example one, don't have proper false bottoms. And now that I know how to do a proper false bottom, I think I might actually revamp the majority of my terrariums. So, you know, stay tuned, because that might be a project, and that'll definitely span a lot of videos. But anyways, guys, this has been the Spiritual Fish Man. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.